I also just wanted to say a few words about Taylor Hawkins. I made a post on Twitter and on Instagram and stuff and in Discord. And basically, I just have no words. This is the first celebrity death that has really affected me in such a way that feels like super sad and just super painful. And like, yeah, it's like a little bit weird to be like, feel this like sort of parasocial relationship with Taylor Hawkins, even though I never really met him. But it just sucks because I just found out like everyone else through social media. And I think Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins were my idols and my heroes growing up. Like I based a lot of my personality around them, not intentionally. It was just because I looked up to them, you know? And aside from their personalities, their drumming. And Taylor Hawkins' drumming in particular was so inspirational because I grew up wanting to play drums just from hearing Dave Grohl play drums. And then when he started his own band and found a drummer, I was like, oh, who's this guy? Like, I should be interested in whoever this is because I've never heard of him, obviously. And if Dave is basically endorsing him to be in his band, he must be really good. And Foo Fighters' opening album and Color in the Shape. Color in the Shape is my favorite album of all time. Taylor didn't drum on that album, but he was listed on the liner notes. So I grew up thinking that those were his drum performances. And, you know, There's Nothing Left to Lose came out, which is the album after Color in the Shape. And that's when Taylor's first performance with the band was. And I remember buying the CD, and then you open the liner and there's like pictures of them. And then if you put the CD inside the computer, which was like, oh my God, you could do that with audio CDs. And it was an enhanced disc is what they call it. So they had some videos on there of behind the scenes footage. They had pictures taken of them during the recording sessions and just like doing random sessions around the studio and stuff. And it was just like, you know, who is this guy? I haven't heard him drum yet. And I wanted to know, you know? And so I listened to the album, and then, you know, back then we didn't have YouTube or just social media, no Twitch to like look up to people that are just like you and me, like on a personable level. We had the mainstream media kind of just feeding us, and Taylor and Dave are like the people I sort of like gravitated to. And I'll never forget, they were going to be on Letterman, and I made sure that I was going to be around to catch it. And I just remember feeling like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. This is a good drummer. Dave made a good choice. This is someone that is the jam. One of my first takeaways was like, so Dave is playing the keys here, and then Taylor jumps in, right? And right away, and you guys who have seen my drum streams will automatically look at the left leg. This video, this performance, I recorded on VHS so I could watch it again and again and again, because we didn't have YouTube, and the only way to watch other drummers was to go to Guitar Center and buy drum VHSs, and like whether it was instructional or a band you liked, that was the only way to get it. And so I watched this a million times, and I was like, wow, look at his left foot. Like, you could really, because I mean, other drummers, their knee doesn't bounce, so you never really see it. And if they keep time with their left foot. And then not only that, he has ghost notes. So ghost notes, if you don't know, like you can hear those, like all those accents, those are the actual snare hits, right? On the 3 and 4 or 2 and 4 or whatever it is. But all the other snare hits that are lighter are called ghost notes. So all the other times he's hitting the snare that you don't quite hear, but it adds texture to the song, I learned that from this one performance too. And this has embedded itself into my everyday playing. The very first thing that I think of to play when I step behind a drum kit is this. Like the main beat from this song, the fill from this song, all from Taylor's brain, somehow making its way embedded into my brain. So this was like part of the Guitar Hero World Tour motion capture sessions, and they were just like, go, we need to calibrate, just play whatever. You heard it? So not only that, his ghost notes, that fill, he played it a lot across a bunch of different songs. The left foot, been embedded in my brain ever since this was like, what was this, like 20 years ago at this point? And so, you know, you look at me playing The Kill, There's the left foot again, the whole left leg. And then we're doing reference for just the drummer. And when you do a Create a Rocker and Guitar Hero, now look at the left foot. Every drummer, every makeup that you have in the entire game, of any drum performance in the entire game, Taylor Hawkins' left foot lived vicariously through me into Guitar Hero World Tour and every other Guitar Hero that drums afterwards. You know? And then years later, I recorded this song. I just had this like weird, funky point in my life where I didn't really know what I was doing next, but I did know I was going to try and go to this drum room I had down the street for once a week. I would do 2 or 3 songs off The Color and the Shape. I played all the songs off the record and I put them all on YouTube, and it was just like this thing that I wanted to do. And then the left foot is just, it's just been with me the entire time. The ghost notes, same ghost notes from that performance on Letterman in 2000. So this is all on YouTube if you want to watch this, but Hey Johnny Park is my favorite song of all time off my favorite album of all time from my favorite band of all time. So this is just like peak Andy musical taste right here. I also saw him play this beat. I think this was like, I forget where it was included. It was like some extra somewhere, but this influenced a lot of my drumming. And I actually wrote a song for Epic Skater that uses the same exact drum beat. I was like, where is that from? I was like, oh yeah, it's from this like Globe Surf DVD that Taylor played on. Just that feel is so good. And, you know, and I think with Dave and Taylor's playing, it's not so much, man, they were just the epitome of, you don't have to be the fastest player, you have to be the most technical player. Like, because what does that even mean, right? Like, what does that even amount to? Like, you can't, like, cash in, yes, I am the fastest drummer alive card. I would like my money or my mansion and my line of women or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's art. So it's not like the Olympics. Like, the fastest runner in the Olympics wins, but the fastest drummer, like, I mean, yeah, you could show it off and maybe get some YouTube views and stuff, but, like, Dave and Taylor were just the epitome of working with what they got and listening to them play. Like, if you gave a drummer the same piece of music, gave a whole array of drummers the same piece of music, it would always sound different between them, right? And Dave and Taylor's sounds in particular, I could pick them out of you know, every other drummer in the mix. And that was just the style that I gravitated towards. And that's what it's inspired me throughout my drumming career and just drumming meditation sessions, just alone in my bedroom, playing There's Nothing Left to Lose front to back, just with a CD player in my headphones. And just, that's, man, it just hits me so hard, you know. Robin Williams was a big one for me, but this one felt really, really bad. I have tickets to go see them this summer too, and it just sort of feels like, dude, I can't even go to that now. Like, I feel like I would be surprised if they didn't cancel the tour. And if they didn't, I would be like, I don't even, like, I feel like I would have to go for the sake of like moving on and maybe closure and feeling like, you know, you just have to keep going, right? Regardless of like what happens. And I can only feel for the other members of the band and his family and everyone else that was actually close to him, and how bad he's making me feel is just nothing compared to what they're feeling. And I just had to take a moment and give some respect where it's due, because he didn't inspire me just for drumming, but his personality, his banter, his back and forth, and the way he related, and the way he could sing and play multiple instruments and sort of not take himself too seriously, even though he's a famous rock star that's going to go down in history as one of the best drummers ever. And it's just so important to me. And that's what him and Dave taught me, is that humility is so important. If you're that good and that popular and you're just like are a complete jackass and snob and think you're better than everyone else, then like I'm not even interested. And that's what they taught me. And that's the sort of what I carry with me every day. Like, you learn what you want to be, who you want to be like, and who inspires you. and that rubs off on you. And then how do you inspire other people with that? You know. So I just wanted to say a couple words, and rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins. You will be missed, and we love you, man. Dave, Foo Fighters, family, wishing you guys the best. Yeah, man. I put it in the Discord. I was like, I don't even know if I want to stream today. I don't even have a plan. I was gonna do Switch games, but the capture device didn't show up in time, and I was like, we could play. I could easily play all of Foo Fighters albums front to back, and I know their material more than any other band's material, even bands that I've played in. But I feel like honestly playing the drums right now, especially the Foo stuff, would just make me feel worse. Honestly, at some point I feel it would be cathartic, but right now it just doesn't feel like it. So, and we have done, I remember when Wasting Light came out. It was like a year later, but I remember I had like two viewers. I know Jamios was there. I was in the drum kitchen. It was like a abandoned kitchen that I set my drums up in, and I played Wasting Light front to back. I think like Jamios was the only person to say anything in the entire album, but it was just like that's one of my most favorite streams is just like get online, take myself back to when I was 13 years old, 16 or whatever, just putting on a record and playing it from start to finish, and like knowing everything, maybe messing up a couple times, but it's just so ingrained into my style and my personality and my memory that it was just such a good outlet. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I had to get that out. So many people have been reaching out to me. Like, whatever. This is not about me, right? But my brother especially reached out to me. He's just like, I can't even imagine, a lot of my friends in LA and stuff, and we're just, it's when they heard about it, they thought of me first, and it's like, I don't even know what to make of it, but they just knew how much they meant to me. So yeah. Anyway, so that's my spiel. I feel like I owed a long-winded, formal recognition of how much respect I have for Taylor, and it even sounds maybe a little weird and creepy or parasocial or whatever, but he was so inspirational to me. And hearing this news is devastating. But that being said, we should move on, and yeah, we should move on. We got to keep going. This isn't like when you hear bad news like this, at least for me, when you're dealt like kind of tough blows and, forks in the road or obstacles, like you can't just get paralyzed and just go down that hole.